there is somebody that even before you were thinking about the health of the GI tract. That was Hippocrates. And he said in 418 BC that all diseases begin in the gut. So there you are. Research is proving him right. All right, so this is a human microbiome study. It was launched in the NIH in 2008. The reason it was launched because they developed these genetic probes that they can identify the organisms. So then they said, well, let's find out all the bugs that we have on our skin and our nasal passages, everywhere in our body, because then we can figure out what's associated with health and what's associated with diseases. So in the bacteria, there is the ribosome, and there's a genetic material that's specific for each species. So there is ability to identify all these different species now. So microbiome is defined as the collection of microbes, bacteria, viruses, and parasites that inhabit the human body. And the metagenomics is what I just said, using the genetic tools to identify the different species of the organisms. So what they've been able to do is go out and sample stools in people with autism, with chronic fatigue syndrome, all kinds of health disorders, to see if there's the normal bacteria in the gut or if there's an abnormal bacteria that could be associated with these health issues. And they can do it easily now, and the prices come down dramatically. So there are a lot of studies being published about how what the bacteria are in the intestinal tract, and looking at associations of other disorders. It certainly has been looked at irritable bowel syndrome and inflammatory bowel disease, autoimmune diseases like type 1 and type 2 diabetes, obesity, and autism. These are just a few of the areas where it's been looked at. So they have found that with the changes in the diversity of the microbiota, particularly in disorders such as like obesity, it has a huge impact. So this came out in September of this year. I don't know how many of you saw it, but it made a lot of the press. So they've known for a long time, if you take a germ-free mouse and give it a stool from a fat mouse, and you give another germ-free mouse stool from a lean mouse, and then you put both of those mice on the same chowder, the mice that received the transplant or from the bacteria from the fat mouse gain more weight, even though they're on the same diet. So it means that what happens is that bacteria from the fat mouse has been modified because there's all these different more calories coming in, and the part of our survival is to harvest all those calories so we survive. And so the bacteria are pretty smart, and they modify and they're able to absorb those calories. They've looked in the stools and they find what's left over. There is less calories left over. In our diet, there is fiber of worth about 200 calories that we don't digest, that if we don't have the bacteria, we'll lose that 200 calories in our stool. So the bacteria are able to add those calories to our that you wouldn't normally think about in our diet. So it shows that, again, with the changes of the diet, the hypothesis is that the high-fat, high-carbohydrate diet we have in the Western world will impact the innate and adaptive immune system, and it's going to cause this metabolic endotoxemia. That's what we're dealing with today. Diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, all the health issues that are associated with heart disease and all the other problems. So again, when you have this shift in the bacteria, it breaks down the tight junction and it allows increase in permeability. One of the things they've looked at a lot is this particular protein code that's on E. coli and other gram-negative bacteria that normally never get through the intestinal barrier, but you've got a breakdown, and it's called lipopolysaccharide, and they can measure it in the blood. But what it does, it leads to, it affects the insulin receptors, so we get resistance. You got increase in tumor necrosis factor, and we have this chronic inflammatory response, and so we end up with type 2 diabetes and these other issues I've mentioned.